Hey everyone, Scrapper Engineer build here, but it's condition. Boom. Rabid Amulet. Precision, toughness, and condition damage is a main stat. And then we're going for Rune of the Sunless with Pistol, Sigil of Earth, and Sigil of Geomancy. Good stuff, I hear you say. Good stuff. Maybe, you're saying. Maybe you're not convinced. Why don't you go for other things? Why are you going for Scrapper? Why are you going for, why aren't you putting inventions in there? Why aren't you putting tools in there, for example? Okay, I understand. You're consistently worried about other people. Well, and what they think. And I've got to tell you, I don't care. Because Power Scrapper is boring me beyond all recognition and beyond all thought and other things that I cannot think about now because it's 11 PM at night. I'm just bored of it. I'm just bored of it, guys. And to be honest, I've been climbing the leaderboards faster on condition damage Scrapper than I have with Power Scrapper, and it's just the way it is. Especially at the moment when people are running the most random stuff, and I'm on NA anyway, so that's a given. And yeah, it's just more fun. It's a more fun build, and that probably ruin my day. But yeah, so at the moment, I'm going to show you the build, and that's going to be the end of it. So there are different things which might be better. Might be better for you, might be better for me. Depending on your playstyle, you might not want to run Scrapper at all. You might want to just go full out. If you're like a pro top player, and you're better, or you're just straight up better than me, you could probably get away with going for something like explosives or tools or whatever. Whereas I'm just going to go for this build. So let's have a look at what it is. Pistol, again, Sigil of Earth, Sigil of Geomancy, Rune of the Sunless. Let's talk about Rune of the Sunless very quickly, which you may not see or think about too often. Now, I ran Balthazar Rune for quite a long time. Let's have a quick look at Balthazar as well. Condition duration, burning duration, is plus 10, 15% as well, as you go through the rest of the rune. And then plus 25 condition damage, 50 and 100. And then plus 20% burning duration when you use a healing skill near foes. They are burned as well. So that's good. We're producing a lot of burn damage through this build. Incendiary ammo, flamethrower, crits through the traits as well, through incendiary powder, We're damaging all the time. We're burning when we're not even, using a burning skill. If I press 1, he's gonna burn because I crit. It's like that's a lot of damage. It's just a pistol 1. You can pistol 1 this guy, and it's just like he's gonna die. Of course, he's not gonna get any crits because that's just the thing. There you go, I did in the end. But there's that bleeding is nice as well. But anyway, so you can see from the build at the moment, even just with pistol 1, the potential of damage you can do. Obviously, this is versus a golem. I know that. And it's very different in the real world. But you can still gain a little bit of a grasp for what I'm talking about specifically. The reasons I'm using Rune of Sunless anyway, as I digress slightly away. Condition damage, obviously, is good. 25, 50, 100. Then we've got the minus 10% and 5% the incoming condition durations, which obviously are quite cool. Like, you don't want too many conditions on you for too much of a time, especially like things like burning, which can be applied regularly by burn guardians. I'm talking about that because it's still in my head from today and it was painful. Anyone with conditions, minus percentage of incoming condition duration. Awesome, cool. Then here's the good one. Here's an elite which I don't think many people are thinking about too much, and is great for things like cleaving in fights when a downed body is around, and also trying to make sure you've got some CC available. Stability is less available than it was before. Scrapper's still got great stability, and many classes do. Obviously Reapers when they're going to Shroud 3, and everyone can access stability in some kind of way. But majority, I'm not saying everyone and every build, but still, having an AoE fear and an AoE poison is brilliant. And this is what happens when you use your elite. When you use your elite skill, you inflict 1 second of fear and 5 seconds of poison to nearby foes. That's 5 targets. That's the team. So if you're in a team fight, you inflict this within the area. And this is, I've tested this. This is within the radius that's of the sneak gyro of 300. Good, right? I think that's pretty fun. I've been using it today, and I've been using it for downing people, mainly more than anything, and also to get the res. Because not only, if someone, I pull this out and someone's actually still attacking and they don't get stealthed or whatever, at least there's a fear in between, you know, them being unstealthed and that target, the enemy, moving away. And as they come back, hopefully by that time, I would have been able to re-stealth them or just straight up res them, and I probably should have by then. And yeah, I'll just show you. I mean, it's just obvious. You know, I use my elite skill, and boom, he gets feared, and he's got a poison on him for a good amount of time. I mean, that's pretty good. It's a 5-second poison, so obviously that stops people as well from resing faster, and also the person to be resed. In terms of their HP regenerated when they're actually being res. So in team fights as well, if someone is down on the enemy side, I will pop this to inflict AoE fear, AoE poison, so they are screwed. For, you know, not alright, mainly people are screwed because of the fear, but not only that, but because of the actual poison itself, because it's defeating their capability to res, and it's really useful. It is great, especially if you're just, you know, solo or duo queue, and people don't really understand some of these things. Sometimes they don't understand about poison, and we're at a time in Guild Wars 2 where a lot of the top tier players are leaving, and I don't like saying that, but it's true. And you can really take advantage of some of these things, you know, where people probably don't really know what's going on half the time, in all honesty. You could say that's always been the case, but anyway, in the nicest way possible, because everyone's got different levels that they play, and I'm definitely not one of the best players in the game, 100% not. But still, I'm just telling you, this is a quite cool rune. Rabid Amulet, great versus power builds. Problems with amulets though, you've probably got a couple of options. Rampager isn't really, because you haven't got toughness or vitality. If you want to go full ham, you can go for things like Viper, things like Rampager, I guess, as well. Rampager, and you want to make sure you've always got that precision on there. You need to crit. It's very, very important as well. Deadshot, not too bad. I would say if you're going to go for anything else over Rabid, go for Rabid, Wanderers, or if you need HP, probably go for Deadshot. There's not really much else that's coming to mind right now. Carrion you can't really go for because you need precision, you need that stat, so I wouldn't go for that either. It's just raw condition damage, unless you just want the condition damage and you don't want the extra burning through your traits. So, you know, I think those are your options. I've been going between Rabid and Wanderer because I've been going up mainly against power builds. Even if I do go up against a Condi build or two, I'll probably still run toughness, if I'm honest. And it's risky. It is a very risky business if you come up against Guardians, but then you just got to make sure your rotations are on key. But sometimes you change to Deadshot. But, again, that's your decision when you go into fights. The Sigil of Earth, Sigil of Geomancy, just a quick weapon swap, and I'll show you exactly what that's about. 3 bleed stacks, really, really nice. That's always guaranteed. And pretty much, and obviously you can see there as well, the 60% chance on crits. Can you see? I mean, we're using our elixir gun here, which inflicts bleeding anyway. And when we crit, we are putting on burning through the traits, and we are also inflicting bleeding. And 60% on crit, mind you. Just remember that. So if we're going to crit, you know, even with a condition and whatnot as well, we still get the amount of condition application is kind of ridiculous in this build, actually. It's great versus Mesmers because they're, you know, able to remove quite a lot of conditions through shattering and stuff. You've got a lot of sustain in your conditions. Okay, so we're going to keep going. Right, we've gone through that. Let's go through the traits. Now, traits are obvious. Alchemy is just standard. There's no reason to ever change this, really. There's some synergy between some of the traits that you could pick, between things like heavy armor exploit maybe and invigorating speed, which would be pretty much which is very similar to like speedy kits the way it was. Not the way it was, sorry, because when you switch to a kit you get swiftness, but this is more about, you know, crit hits give you swiftness, and also the swiftness gives you vigor, and, you know, speedy kits back in the day. Anyway, rest in peace. Which is good. They split the trait basically into different lines. Anyway, that was a long time ago. We know about that. Same as usual, you know, you get protection injection, you know, whenever you're disabled. Protection, standard, all the things. Elixir S proc. HGH, very important for the might to have that still. Mainly because it's just obvious, and obviously, you know, condition removal is a thing through alchemical tinctures. And that's just good. You know, having less recharge is going to be good as well. I mean, it's not a bad build. Also, you may want to change some of these. You may want to put an elixir in there, you know. If we go over to the elixir gun as well, you can see, you know, obviously these traits are changed up a bit here and there. Because, when I say things are changed, they're in blue. You know, cooldowns and whatnot. But the might mainly is what we're talking about here. So let's take this off. So that's a cooldown of 16 seconds. If we change it down to there, we can't because we're still in combat, which is really, really annoying, but hey ho. And I'm trying to do this video in one shot, so you're going to have to live with it, I'm afraid. And isn't this an amazing glider? Yes, you know it is. You know it is. But what I'm trying to show you basically is the fact that elixir is important. And it may not be obvious that I'm running many elixirs here, but I am, you know. Healing Mist is an elixir, you know. Elixir gun has elixirs in it. It's just, you know, it's just there. Acid Bomb and Super Elixir. So if I take that off, as I said, 16-second cooldown, guess what? It goes up to 20 seconds. So this is not just important for all the things, but it's important especially for Healing Mist as well, because take that off, look at that. Massive 7-second difference. That's a stun break, and obviously condition removal as well. Important through the traits, of course. Ta-da. So anyway, you know all these things. If you're a scrapper, if you're an engineer, you know these things. So let's talk about the main things here. This is going to be firearms, and the reason I talk about firearms is because this is where you're getting a lot of your extra condition damage from. So what is going on here? Critical hits have a chance to cause bleeding. We've got even more chance to inflict bleeding through, of course, the sigil. Now you could argue that that's too much. It's extra chance. You could change the condition. You could add a condition. I've mainly been running Torment and Sigil of Geomancy. This is a new thing. This is just because I added it to see if I would get more sustain on bleeds, and I do. So I'm literally, you can change these. I'm not saying it's the best one. Again, you know, I play with them all the time. Sometimes I put poison on, but I've got a ton of poison. So do I need to have that? Don't know. Sometimes I put Hydromancy on. Sometimes I put, you know, all the things. I change it up all the time. You know, there's Doom. There's loads of different condition sigils here that you could go with as well. Like I said, you know, Torment. But yeah, I mean, and also, you know, inflicted burning duration, 20%. I mean, that's a massive sigil you could possibly have. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would probably think about adding that as well. So there are many different things that you could add. Try it out, let me know what you think, but let's get back to it. Chemical rounds. Your pistol skills have increased condition duration of 50%. That's extra things, people. That's extra things. Look at the conditions we do. Yes. Yes. 8 seconds of bleeding. So let's take that off. Now it's 5¼ seconds. So why would you change it that to anything else? No, you wouldn't, because they're crap in comparison. You can increase your critical chance in a really tiny range. But no, I don't think that's good. No one does. Hematic focus. You could change it to this when I was talking about heavy armor exploit, you know, and synergizing it up with other things like invigorating speed. These are all things you can change, and maybe they're useful for you, but not for me. Hematic focus. You have increased chance to critically strike against bleeding foes. What are we doing a lot, people? through our sigils. We are bleeding them. AoE bleeds. We are doing single target extra increased chance of bleeding. We're doing loads of bleeds. So this is great. You know, it just continues to synergize. It's awesome. This has always been the way that condition builds have been going with, you know, NG anyway. Makes sense. Pinpoint distribution got a change on February the 22nd. It now increases condition damage on nearby allies by 150. 150. That's 150. If you are with a duo Q Necro and he is a condition build and you are trying to look after him, you are giving him not only healing support but an extra 150 condition damage. That's why it's so... I mean, as far as I know, this is probably the reason why condition engineers are now back in raids, pretty much. I mean, that's ridiculous. Affects allies, that's everyone. It's not just the Necro. So if you've got a Mesmer in your team, you've got a Necro in your team, you're already giving yourself an extra ton of stats. It's like flipping having bosses in the forest, but more stats. Fantastic. Awesome. Let's use that. Serrated steel bleeding you course lasts longer. Okay, we're bleeding the hell out of these guys, so that's going to last longer. Burning you apply lasts longer, and your critical hits inflict burning. We have a ton of crits. We have a ton of crits. 46.85 crits, to be sure. Again, you could use sigil, which bumps that up. Absolutely fine. You could go for a different amulet, where you get more precision. Again, if you go for Deadshot, you're going to get more precision there, and that's where you get your vitality as well. If you're going up against, you know, more condition-orientated builds, you get less condition damage, but you get more precision. And you know, I think I need to work it out really, to be honest, but it's not too bad. I think the switch up is alright. It kind of works out similar in the end. I haven't done thorough testing, and I'm not going to probably. Because it's all very dependent about what class I'm going up against. Like if I've got Deadshot amulet, I'm going against a ton of power classes. There's no point. I'm dead anyway, so I'm not going to be able to use any of the damage in the first place. That's why I would run Rabid or Wanderers. Sorry. So anyway, rest of the build. So that's obvious. Incendiary powder. Okay, sweet as, awesome. Then we got Scrapper. We've got Function Gyro. Function Gyro is obvious. We use that for all the things, the resing, the downing, the stabilities. Now, here obviously, perfectly weighted, hammer skills deal increased damage and evading an attack grants stability. Obviously still, like, evading attacks while you evade is good. Having stability, when you evade is good, fine. But then you deal increased damage when you've got a hammer, which I feel like, you know, it wasn't the main reason, probably why, but you know, I feel like it's a waste. So you can go for that if you want to, but I wouldn't. Personally, I use Recovery Matrix. Using your hero skill temporarily reduces damage you receive. And why not, I say? Why not? You get a nice little bit of protection. Cooldown, there is none. So when you get your heal back up, when you pick that up, in 14 seconds, you've got another protection. 15, depending on whether or not you blast turret, obviously. So that's good. Protection is beautiful. I love it. You get protection elsewhere from protection injection as well. So you're going to be able to stack, actually get a lot more protection from your build. So good. Okay. When you successfully revive an ally or finish an enemy, you grant boons to nearby allies. Obviously, might for yourself and for others, and super speed. Super speed, obviously, through rapid regeneration, does heal you with swiftness as well. Now, this is the only problem with the build, swiftness, but you can get it, and I'll show you why or where you can. And if you're a good player and you know a lot about Scrap, you probably know where. Impact Savants, the duration of your outgoing stuns and dazes are increased, and duration of stuns and dazes applied to you are decreased, that is obviously quite good. This was better when you've got obviously things like Thunderclap and whatnot. Final salvo. So you can change this, you really can, but I would say no, probably not. I mean, adaptive armor is great if you're going versus many condition builds as well. Then this is great. I mean, people do change up between the two depending on what they're going up against. I really like this still because of stability. There are reasons you may not need it. Things like, you know, obviously, you know, sneak gyro and whatnot. But if you get knocked back, by a Dragon Hunter or a Guardian when they're on the ground and you're not got stability, you're getting put back in your ass. If you pop this, you get stability with your stealth, which is fine, increasing your chance to down targets and res as well. Whereas this is a lot more selfish, but you can still survive and support your team as well. But this is more condition orientated, so I feel like the survival for myself is also great, as well as just general support for my team. So I always go for Final Salvo, and it really synergizes with rapid regeneration. It just makes sense, you know. Stability is good, super speed is good. Also, we don't have much swiftness. Now, I'll come back to that now. As soon as I'm talking about it. Where are we getting our swiftness from? So, Elixir Gun. Remember the rest of the Elixir Gun? There's 1, there's 3. Fumigate, Acid Bomb, a Super Elixir. But what's this? Glob Shot? Does people not ever use this? This is going to give you not only a cripple, it's going to give you swiftness. Not me a cripple, them a cripple. And actually, you could see that actually did a nice amount of damage as well. Actually crit. And actually got some nice damage in itself. But not that I'm going to use that for damage. But you're going to gain swiftness. Now, obviously, that's fantastic. Let's have a look at the duration. 3.5 seconds. Not a massive amount, of course. You know, the cooldown's 8, so you're not always going to have that swiftness as well. But don't forget, you are potentially in team fights as well, so you are going to be able to get things like, you know, swiftness from other people. There are fields you can blast as well, but you can blast your own fields. And what I do a lot of the time is I actually pop out my gyro and I get actually explode it. We got blasts, of course, for days. If I actually explode the turret. You can get 2 blasts off. It takes a bit of practice, but you can get 2 blasts off. And there you go, I've got swiftness for a bit of time. And normally, that's enough for me to get to the point. And this is off cooldown by the time I need it. Unless I get caught between the 2 points. That, I would say, is the only real problem with this build at times. When I don't have those cooldowns, and I'm screwed in terms of trying to escape because I've not got swiftness, and it would have been easier to get it elsewhere. Because, you know, the other build has inventions, and you have that extra speed increase just built into your build. That's really the only problem about this build. But you can still, like I said, you can still get it from places, you know. It's not that difficult. There you go, 2 blasts, easy. And we get 20 or so seconds of actual swiftness. Like, we've still got it. We've still got a little bit of healing there. Because you still want to have swiftness if you can to survive, to actually get the heals off, you know. Still pretty good heal. 101 heal every second. Still pretty good. And mix that with the super speed as well, you know. I mean, it's pretty fantastic. You've got that for a number of seconds. So not bad, okay? So you've got sustain, you've got a bit of sustain, sorry. You've got condition damage, you've got everything else. That's great. Okay, wow, okay. Well, what about abilities wise? What should I be prioritizing? What should I be using? Obviously, like, incendiary ammo is going to give you an extra 2 stacks of burning. So you want to try and lump that in. If you want to try and burst someone down, I mean, one of the main things I do is try and get, you know, blowtorch quite close. And I want to use it with things like incendiary ammo. So, I mean, most of the time, you know, I'll probably pop into a point. I'll probably have my stealth gyro out as well. I'll pop this out, and I'll use it right up close and personal. So let's have a look. Wow, chat's being weird. It's not that. So we've got incendiary ammo. Just clicked it there. Number 4, blowtorch. Boom. 8 stacks of burning. 8. That's ridiculous. I get 4 stacks of burning there. I get 2 there, but I crit as well, and twice. I just killed that golem pretty much with just that combo. Yes, I know. And a weapon swap. Did I even weapon swap? I can't even remember. You be the decider of that. But it's pretty crazy. I mean, you know, I'm switching into and out of my actual. I'm not in combat anymore. That's typical. Let's wait for that to run off. But you can see, I mean, even then, like, just one shot with my pistol just takes the actual golem down to about 50%. 59% now. I weapon swap. Look at the burning and whatnot. We were auto attacking with elixir gun there. So I apologise about that, but even just that pressure is pretty crazy. But you're getting the general gist. So what else about this build is fantastic? Well, there are many things. You've got, for example, defense field. And again, like I said, bulwark, gyro and whatnot, all interchangeable. You don't have to use these. You can use what you want for your build. I mean, I use flamethrower for many, many, many things. The reason I use bulwark gyro, again, stability, but also for power damage to decrease that damage. If you've got more condition damage against you, stick your purge gyro in. If you're worried that you've got more toughness and you haven't got the vitality, stick your purge gyro in. You've got more bloody condition removal. If you're that worried, you can change these over. You don't have to use them. This is still going to be your best bet with the condition build, but people will say elite and the mortar kit's better because you've got more condition damage, pressure from range as well, specifically poison and whatnot as well. And that's better. That's better for them. It's not better for me. I still want to be able to perform a team role. I don't want to just run around killing people. I want to be able to support. And if I'm queued with a necro friend of mine or another condition class, then I'm going to be, buffing them up as well in terms of damage and my team. So I want to be supportive, but I still want to be condition. And I'm still doing a ton of damage as well. I mean, look. Stick down my number 4. I mean, they changed things. They, pushback air blast has got the 2 burn stack on it now. You actually do burning with the flamethrower, That's 3 stacks. It should be 3 stacks. If it goes through. Well, it does more than that. It's a crit. And then I pressed 1 because I'm actually still auto attacking. But you get the gist. A knockback. Boom. You should have burning on him there. He didn't, unfortunately. But hey, go. You have to do it when they're actually already on fire. I thought he was actually on fire, so that's my bad. But there you go, things like that, and it added it there. Extra burn stacks, always beautiful, always good. We're happy, we're joyful. I don't really know what else to say other than this build is fantastic for me personally. There's a good amount of utility here as well, like glue shot. It's fantastic. You can immobilize foes. That works on most. I normally get this immobilized off on most enemies. I've got a ton of poison through poison volley dart, through my elixir gun as well, through fumigate, of course, vulnerability stacking, through that weakness and bleeding, through obviously elixir gun as well, condition removal, and don't forget, guys, that this had a change. If you have condition issues, then you make sure you blast this field. Because you can get condition removal now. You don't get retaliation anymore, which is fantastic. And it's bloody useful. You've got blasts for days. You've got a flamethrower which has a blast on it. Absolutely fan-flipping-tastic. Really good. So remember that's on the second one, the second activate. Sorry. So. Takeaway information, and I would give you gameplay on this, but it's on my YouTube, it's on my Twitch channel, but also I will do a gameplay video separately, but I'm not going to put it with this video. You're just going to have to wait. It might have been a long video. This information might be useful to you, yes or no, I'm not sure, but either way, you better like this video, because if it was good and you enjoyed it, you should, and if you didn't like it, then you should put a dislike. But if you put a dislike, I would ask that you actually tell me why you dislike it in the comments below. I'm absolutely fine with critical feedback. Critical feedback? Useful feedback. Constructive feedback, in fact. So please, I encourage you to do so. Likes really help channels on YouTube at the moment as well. They always change their minds. But you should be liking videos if you watch them, and you watch them for more than 10-20 seconds. If it's some point of time that your life has been changed by a video. As I talk crap. Either way, thank you very much for watching. It's been fantastic to see you. I'm sorry that I'm not releasing as many videos as I said I would do potentially when I came to America, but I'm streaming mainly and I am starting to get back into it. So I want to do a bit of both if I possibly can. Again, enjoy fearing and poisoning with your stealth gyro, with the Rune of the Sunless. There are probably a ton of things that I've forgotten to mention in this build. Things like stealth, obviously, removing stealth from people, and just the standard flipping stuff that comes out from Scrapper. I don't need to explain that. Flamethrower, really good CC with Flame Blast. Napalm, please make sure you put that down if you want to take people out, especially if you're coming out of stealth. Really good for laying across people, like downed opponents. Golem's down, guys tries to go into res, chances are he's going to get burned. You can blast that for extra might as well if you should so wish. And yeah, it's got real good synergy. Just go try it. It's got survivability as well. You're still useful for your team. You're still useful for support. You're just putting out more damage as well. Problem is, you haven't got hammer. You haven't got that many blocks. You haven't got as much CC from the hammer, but you've still got an immobilize. You've still got a knockback. You've still got all the things that come with this build as well as stealth. It's fun. It's great. I'll see you later. Talking too long. Goodbye. Do all the things. See you soon.